Over the years, I've played some amazing games that people never really got the chance to see. There's a site called Byond.com which allows people to take a crack at making some online games. This platform became overrun by a million stolen versions of online games, which then became the definitive genre of the Byond game. These started off with Dragon Ball, then Dragon Ball got cloned and doctored into Naruto themes, that became Bleach, and then we just had a whole lot of Shonen Jump going on, and it was both amazing and daunting at the same time. Literally hundreds of these poured in, most of which were run by very abusive administrators. Eventually, Funimation issued a cease and desist order, and basically anything anime related was purged and scrubbed clean from the Byond Engine's website. Some games hid in the darkness and survived the Great Cleansing, but most tragically perished in the purge. Those Dragon Ball games eventually spawned Phoenix, and later Dragon Ball Finale, that eventually morphed into Xenosphere, which I had the pleasure of helping guide the development of temporarily. There were truly brilliant gems hidden within that cesspool. There was a really cool anime-themed turn-based game where you picked 3 characters and fought using randomly generated mana. I don't remember what it was called, but I always remember fielding Spike Spiegel, Yusuke, and Vash. They were pretty hardcore. I think it was called Anime Arena or something like that, and it wasn't around for very long. There was an amazing Final Fantasy game which faithfully replicated the systems of Final Fantasy IV. It legitimately felt like playing a real Final Fantasy. That specific line of Dragon Ball game was an incredible role-playing game series, heavily based on strict role-playing rules. Everything was very much up to your design, and you had fantastic systems which helped determine what you made. There was a great stat system, a fun building system, and years of great memories. Mitodake High is a fantastic game with a simple design. You and other players are locked in your school due to a murder taking place right in the courtyard. One of you is the killer, and the others are determined to figure out who the killer is, avoid or possibly kill that guy, and survive the night. It is the killer's goal to take out all of the other survivors, and generally be undiscovered. This game is heavily roleplay oriented, and takes elements from other anime. You might spawn with the ability to see people's names, you might just find the Death Note, you might have the mystic eyes of death perception, you might even find the 7th Holy Scripture lying around in her gun form. One game that used to have hundreds of players and a very strong community was Final Fantasy Online. This thing here was really cool. You'd encounter swarms of monsters in a fun, action RPG style that somehow mashes Final Fantasy elements into a unique experience. This game was not designed to be a Final Fantasy clone. This game was designed to take the look and feel of Final Fantasy and introduce creativity in other areas. We had an almost Diablo-style random loot system where you could find elemental gear, gear that had a special prefix, as well as gear that had a special suffix. Competition was very high, and you'd see players carve stone from mountains, haul wood from trees, and build a fortified city to defend their loot and treasure. Dozens of players would assault these strongholds, while the defenders sent soldiers to block their path. This was a game of excitement, grinding, and diplomacy. This game hid in plain sight during the Great Purge many years ago, and still to this day operates. This game is fully enjoyable, available, and happy to accept new players. The population is very low, only about 20 people last I checked, but that could change. Feel like having a fun experience with friends? Come take a look. In order to get here, you'll need to go to the Byond website at www.byond.com and create an account. This account will let you log into the Byond engine and load up a game with the open command. Open the address 99.25.253.82, port 2442, and you'll find yourself right on this awesome title screen. I'll be providing some quick tips to help you understand what's going on, some things I would do and configure, and how this game actually works. After you create your character, you'll be immediately blasted by incredibly loud music. Click down here in the options window and reduce the volume. I generally play with the music off, but about 20% seems good. I'd turn warp fade off. This is an effect that causes a needless stall between you going through doors and being able to see. Numpad walk is amazing, as it just makes it so you can tap a number key on your number pad and continue walking that direction until you hit 5 to stop. You generally move by clicking on the map, so this can be very useful to maneuver long distances or between objects. When you meet a player for the first time, you'll realize that you can only see their class name. That's because this game tracks if you've ever heard their name. They can introduce who they are to you, you can overhear someone else nearby address them by name, or you can attempt to guess it and say their name out loud. This blue guy here is the tutorial NPC. He gives you some tips on how to play, but the quick summary is drag stuff into slots. You can give him a tonic from the shop and follow some directions to get your starter gear. Your starter gear has an amazing secret. It is much cheaper to upgrade than other identical non-starter gear. Focusing on improving these first is very wise and can make it so you don't even need to bother with some of the other lower tier armor. This game has light effects and line of sight. As the moon cycle changes between phases, you'll experience darker nights and stronger enemies. Walking into the darkness alone is a pretty sure way to die unless you're hardcore, are very well equipped, or are wise enough to stay close enough to an escape route near friendly NPCs. The basement of New Banyan is a great spot to train against the undead. Funnel them into a choke point and use that to your advantage. The less things attacking you at once, the better. Be aware that they can move diagonally and can potentially block you. If you're surrounded by enough monsters, you're dead. Minimize the possible spaces enemies can attack from, and you'll do well. As you consume potions, you'll notice that they seem to get less effective. That's due to the hunger and thirst system. This is an old balancing update to a PvP issue of people literally being able to chug their way to victory in PvP. Those meters are modifiers which alter just how effective something is when consumed. The more you eat and drink, the lower those meters and those effectiveness goes. Be wise about your consumption to survive. You can equip a second set of weapons, a shield, or a bow in the slots below your right hand. Hitting F12 will swap your equipped items, allowing you to possibly field a bow or bear weapons to smack invaders away. Slingshots of the bear are fantastic starter weapons if you feel like you may need to flee. They do almost no damage, but they stop things in their tracks. When you're leveling up, be aware that it is not very wise to put points into your skills early on. You can unlock new abilities by upgrading these, but levels give you additional stats and health. More health and strength means you can get more experience at a quicker rate. Leveling up to maybe 15 before worrying about pouring any levels into your proficiencies may be a good idea. They do also naturally grow at a very pathetic rate as you use them. If you choose to use two weapons at once, be aware that you'll need the weapon level and dual wielding level to both be fairly high in order to land your hits. If either is low, you'll wind up seeing a lot of failed strikes. While you're new and vulnerable, hunting out some permachests is a good move. A permachest is a chest which contains valuable loot that generally spawns in certain areas at random. They start with very little loot, and over time their hoard grows. The longer a permachest is left to grow, the more valuable the result. If you right-click a chest, you'll peek inside, but peeking inside a permachest will stop the items inside from cooking into better ones, so don't peek into a permachest, just take it. There are plenty of permachests in a nearby wolf cave. The cave is filled with friendly wolves that will actually cover you from danger. Just don't go striking them or they'll turn on you too. They are part of a quest and possible roadside companions later, but they are technically higher level and therefore worth more experience if you kill them. So if you don't mind these guys hating you and wanting to eat your face for a few days or so, you could use them as a place to train. Monster populations are heavily affected by how many people were recently there and how many enemies were killed in the area. A place that has had no activity for a long time will be swarming with monsters, but if you kill them all, you'll find very little to train on. You can identify a permachest by seeing if your number pad walk lets you walk through it. Normally, chests are below your player. Permachests are actually in front of your player and will impede your movement. Here on the second floor I found some permachests with very low loot, while on the third floor down I found some ones that were very much packed with gold. You can actually get incredibly rare things from any permachest anywhere, but the odds of finding them are very slim since other players hunt these permachests, so naturally, places that are too dangerous for players to want to go often will cook much longer. With these quick few tips, you'll be off to a good start on the island of New Banyan. If you have further questions about the game or need advice in-game, please feel free to comment and I'll respond accordingly.